Hello everybody, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and here we are now with, I think this is part 16, isn't it? And today in this video we're going to be looking at packs 35 and 36 of this beautiful DeAgostini 1/6 scale, yes, 1/6 scale, it's huge, Mustang GT500 from 1967. So as you know, with this pack we got the freebies, we had the two cars, so this was delivery number 9. So we got this beautiful 1/43 scale GT500, just like the big one's going to look. So really nice little kit indeed, or little model indeed. So in pack 35, we are looking at the magazine first, as we always do. So here we've got Carroll Shelby himself. And this is in 2003. Ford Shelby began work on the Ford Shelby Cobra concept car, designed as a tribute to the original Cobra of '62. In 2005, they unveiled another concept car, the Shelby GR1, inspired by the '65 Cobra Daytona Coupe. Very pretty car, I think you'll agree. Very nice, very good looking. Very sort of Aston Martin-esque on the back, isn't it? And there's the, that was the Cobra from 2004. Looking very nice with Mr. Carroll Shelby there himself. So here we've got the what we're going to be doing in this part. So it's going to be a fairly quick one. We're just going to build another rear tyre. Now we're looking at monster trucks, monster mayhem. So as you can see here, we've got a great big Mopar truck with their huge monster tyres and their truck axles and hydraulic steering and all that. You can see there's somebody stood in Bigfoot inside the wheel. Absolutely huge. I've never seen these things live in action, but I've seen plenty of them on TV, and yeah, you can see them there. Lots of them. Blue Thunder there doing wheelies. I don't know how the half shafts didn't snap. You think of all that inertia when they want to stop. And then we've got dragsters, straight line shootouts. There is no more spectacular show for motorsport fans than that of competing dragsters accelerating from standstill to 310 miles an hour or more in a matter of seconds. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I once heard they burn something like 16 gallons of fuel in one run, like the big top fuelers. And there's Don Garlett's Big Daddy, seen here in 1968. He won 144 races and 17 national and world championships in the course of his career. Wow. And you've got some more modern stuff here. May the 22nd, 2005 there. Brittany Force, John Force's daughter. Castrol Edge sponsorship. Beautiful. Right, so let's do some building. So we'll get the magazine over there out of the way, and we'll put the light on just like we always do. So here in pack 35, you might be yawning already because you've all seen this before. I think this is the 3rd or even the 4th wheel. I can't remember now. But, there we go. But I have to show you all the builds, so I will show you all the builds. So here we have our tyre. We have our two little tyre fillers, which we're going to need because of the sheer weight of this thing, and then these two little locking rings. So have a look at the tyre and see if you've got a best side. See if you've got a side that's got a mark in it or a cut or something. And this one looks lovely on both sides. I remember one of them had a little ridge. I think it was just been sat on an edge or something. It probably would have come back. But just have a look, because it doesn't really matter which way around they go. So basically what we're going to do is fit this into here. Okay, these tyres feel a little softer than normal, but they are quite difficult to get in. So put one side in first, work your way around like that, get that in there. There we go. And then here on this one, put this one in, get that side in, and then work it around until it goes in. Make sure it's butted up against that one. Work it around. It does go in, believe me. If you're a youngster doing one of these, or somebody with impaired strength or whatever, then perhaps go and get a friend or a neighbour or a parent or something to do it for you, because it does need a lot of effort to get it to go in. And for some reason I am really struggling with this more than I have before. What I'm going to do now is pull the tyre out to the part. There we go. There we are. That's how you get it in. There we are. It's quite hard work. So if you, as I say, if you do have impaired strength or issues with the hands or whatever, you may struggle. So what I'm going to do now is pull these apart, because you can see I've got a gap in that side there, bigger than that side there. Okay, so I'm going to pull it apart to get the gaps even. I'm going to use the back of my tweezers as a levering tool to lever everything apart. There we go. Right, so we now should be able to push this is wedge shape. We should be able to push that in, and that should help to push it apart. So we push that in until it clips fully home on both sides. You can hear it click in. There we go, that's fully in. Now I have got a little raised bit of plastic there. I'm not sure if that's going to affect the fit, so what I'm doing is just trimming that off. Not sure if that's going to affect how it fits the wheel. And then over here, once again, we can put this one in here. Just bring them together. And you hear them clip in. Don't think they're in until you hear that positive click. And then just go around and give the tyre a chance to sort of, form itself around. So now you've got a nice solid tyre. We're going to need those. The weight of this thing, if you didn't have those in there, the model would just stick the flat tyres, I think. So there we go. So that's pack 36, or 35 even. Let's have a look at pack 36. Okay, so pack 36. Shelby GT500 1967. I forgot to say earlier, if you want to get one of these, you want to find out more, if you look down in the description below this video, you will see a link that you can click on, and that will take you to the DeAgostini page, where you can see all the pricing and all the details about the model and the free gifts and all that sort of stuff. But it's worth having a look. It's now available in America as well, which is great news. A lot of you asked for it. And I'm wondering if DeAgostini responded because they saw the comments on my videos. I don't know. But I know a lot of you in America asked for it, which seems, a Ford Mustang in 1/6 scale. It's big. It's a Ford Mustang. I would have thought the first market would have been America. But hey, what do I know? Right, so having a look at the magazine as we normally do. A very special Shelby GT500 Cobra. That was the S197 GT500. Absolutely gorgeous. 2006, I think they came out. May have been 2007. Absolutely beautiful. Basically an S197 with a 5.4 supercharged engine as standard. I'm not sure what Shelby did with it. So he died in May 2012, unfortunately. So they made the 2013 GT500 just after. Ford, Shelby America and Ford Racing decided to join forces to create a very special version of the Mustang Shelby. Shelby as a company is still going. You still get Shelby everything. Shelby coats, Shelby mugs, as DeAgostini sent us. You can get Shelby cars, Shelby whatever. Even though Carol Shelby is unfortunately passed, the company is still going strong. So you can see here there's the GT500, and then here's a wide body, 850 horsepower. Bloody hell. So they also did the Super Snake, didn't they? Which was something else. Okay, and then we got the parts. We're going to be doing another wheel, and we're going to be fitting the wheel to the axle. But by the looks of it, it's cool. Ford Fusion at NASCAR. The Ford Taurus was replaced by the Fusion in 2006, leading to the older model being swapped for the newer in NASCAR, in which the Fusion competed until 2018. That car there has got about as much in common with the Ford Fusion as my hand has with Julie Andrews' face. I don't know why I thought of Julie Andrews' face, but yeah. It's not a Ford Fusion. It doesn't have a Ford Fusion engine. It doesn't have a Ford Fusion body plate. It's not even a Ford Fusion windscreen. It's a car that looks like a Ford Fusion to some. And the Mustang's the same. If you look at NASCAR today, all the cars sort of from the front firewall back, they're all the same. All they've done is they got trim in the rear windows to give the rear window a different shape. It's only the nose that's slightly different. But the Camry, the Camaro, the Mustang, they're all the same body. They're all the same chassis. They just run different engines now. So it's all about the engine, the aerodynamics, and the setup. But the cars are pretty much identical. So there we go. There's the Fusion again. You can see, and there you can see a standard Ford Fusion next to the NASCAR one. And you can see there's a tiny little difference, I suppose. Nothing much really. I'm surprised how much the NASCAR isn't a lot lower than the saloon. Maybe there's a restriction on the height. Maybe they have to be within a certain height overall of the standard car. You can see one there and there's another one there. So yeah, there we go. Let's have a look what we're going to do work-wise. So as you've got the tyre here ready to go, we'll get our light on as we normally do, get the magazine over there. So we will take our parts. This is pack 36. So we'll open this one up. get the parts out. Check we've got the wheel, we've got the wheel inner, we've got 2 DS12 screws, we've got a few DS19 screws. We have in this little bag here, as I know you've seen all this before, but we have to do it. We have to show everyone. I don't want to upset DeAgostini. We've got our little tyre valve there, we've got our centre cap there with a magnet in the back, and we have our wheel nuts there. So, first things first, we have to fit the valve in here. Now, this is where I do go slightly off-piste because DeAgostini have asked me to not alter the build sequence at all. However, I did find on my first one, maybe they've made it different. No, I found on my first one, while I was putting it all together, I touched the valve and it pushed it back in. Now, the only way you can get to it to get it back out, or to get it back in, is to unscrew it all again. So what I want to do here is put a drop of super glue. This is the VMS black thin super glue. I'm going to put this on here, okay, and let that capillary into the gap. In fact, if I push the valve out a bit and then push it back in, that'll guarantee we get the capillary action going on. So now that is super glued in, all right, and I would thoroughly advise you to do that. I'm going to mop up the excess here with a cotton bud so we don't get it all over our fingers. Okay, we'll move the super glue out of the way and we can leave that to set for a few minutes. Now what we've got to do now is do some thread cutting. Now as you can see here in the instructions, it says here these screws are DS19 and we've got 1, 2, 3, we're going to use 5 of them, we've got 6. 2.3 by 5 millimeters. That means they're M2.3 because it has D, which I can only assume means die cast, because the plastic screws that screw into plastic are called PS or PM or whatever. So I like to cut threads. You can actually, if you want to, you can just take these screws and launch them in as they suggest. What you'll see other modelers do, they will put they'll put some 3-in-1 oil on there. We're going to open this little bag as well so we can get rid of it. I'll put some 3-in-1 oil to help. I'm not a big fan of using 3-in-1 oil because I find it creeps, it spreads, it goes everywhere. I would rather cut the threads. So here I've got an M2.3 tap. It's okay guys, I'm not going to leave the camera going, don't worry. And what I'm going to do is just come in here and go a turn forward, half a turn back. And I'm going to cut the threads in here until the tap stops, and that's it. You can see the metal we've cut there, and we've actually cut a thread. You'll also notice with this tap, they normally have a point on the end. I've ground the point off so that it doesn't make a mark. When it reaches the bottom, if the metal's quite thin, it may make an indentation. Ask me how I know. So yeah, turn forward, half a turn back. Just like so. There we go. Okay. And then when you're done, you can get your T-Hoo vacuum from Amazon. You can go around and vacuum up your bits and pieces, just like that. Right, so I'm going to get the rest of these tapped out, and then I'll come back. Okay, so we've got the threads all tapped out, so now we can look at it all together. So this here, this chrome piece here, is basically wheel nuts. Very neat way of doing it, make it look all odd, not odd, separate. So it's not just like a moulding. So you can see on there we've got a key on there and we've got a slot in here, so obviously you're going to line them up and we're just going to push those through and they just go like that, and that's it. And you can see it now looks like you've got separate chrome wheel nuts. It's the chrome wheel nuts, even easy for you to say. So that's very nice. Right, so now we have to fit this to the wheel. So they're saying retrieve the tyre assembly from issue 35. Place the inside of wheel rim 36A in the centre of the tyre 35A, push it into position, making sure its 2 protrusions fit into the grooves in the internal tyre clips. So we've got 2 protrusions here, and they are basically going to fit into... I'm sorry, it's this... I talked in part 35 about choosing the right side of the tyre. It's this stage you do that. So if you look at the tyre and you see that one side's a bit nicer than the other. I mean, as you can see here, this one's got like a little sink in it there where it's been stretched. So we'll use this side as the outside because this side is nicer. So we'll put the wheel in, and we've got these 2 little keys on here, and they've got to line up with those little tiny cutouts in there. You can probably just see it on the end of my finger. There's a little cutout in that tab, and they've got a line up in there. So basically what we're going to do is get this round. Now with the outer, you can put this in and you can see from the inside how it's lining up. Okay, so you can see now we've got those tabs lined up in those slots. Okay, so we can push that in like that. It's, again, like putting those black inserts inside the tyre, it's not easy. Now here, you've got to be careful. Again, we've got to have these tabs lining up with those slots. But as you can see here, if I do it this way round and I have that tab lining up in that slot there, when I put it in, the bolt holes don't line up. So it's only one way it goes in. So that tab there with the hole just to the left is going to go on that one. So we're going to basically line up the screw holes, and that will automatically line up our tabs as long as we've kept the outer wheel lined up in the tabs as well. There we go. You can see how that is going together or not. It's not easy, this, guys, but once you get it, it's done. That's it. Which is why I said about gluing that valve in, because I wouldn't want to be doing this more than once, well, more than 5 times anyway. I'm assuming this car's going to have a spare. Right, so we can get our DS19 screws. I can pick one up on the screwdriver. No, I only want one, thank you. I can get it on the end of the screwdriver properly. Alright, and I'm just going to put it in here. We've got the closest hole is there. Alright, so I'm going to put it in here, and I'm just going to go a couple of turns. Make sure you don't just go one turn, because if it moves, it'll rip the thread out because it's soft material. But we'll get a screw on here again properly. Alright, and then we'll go opposite. I'm squeezing it all together. Just putting that screw in there just on a couple of turns. We'll grab another screw. A couple of you have complained about me doing part works and stuff, and the Lamborghini and that. Yeah, I'm back on the scale modelling now. Today is the 16th of July 2024. You may or may not know, you probably do, I lost my dog at the end of May and it absolutely ripped me to shreds. And I haven't felt much like modelling, but I'm getting my mojo back now. And I am currently working on the Ferry Gannet, and you've also got the Lancaster videos going out. So I am doing some scale modelling as well, guys. This was supposed to be like, you know, on the side, bit of fun, let's do a part work, you know, because you know how much I love Mustangs, and a lot of you do too. And it's been an absolute godsend, I must be honest, with this and the Hachette Lancaster. It's been a godsend, because when your mojo is suffering, you don't feel like doing scale modelling. This is great, absolutely great. You get an email to say it's coming, and you're kind of waiting for it to come, and it comes, and you open it up, and oh, I wonder what's in here, and you kind of just want to get the video made. It's good. It's good for you. Right, so we're going to go around these screws now, just one turn at a time. We're going to go diagonally around, miss one, okay, miss one, basically you're going to pull this wheel evenly together. If you miss one, because there's an odd number, if you miss one every time, then you'll keep doing alternate screws. It's kind of, that one there's got higher. The idea is to not try and put it all down in one, because you'll pull it all over on an angle and it'll all look horrible. I need to pull that one down to even up with the others, and that one there, I'm going to even it up. Okay. Now if you haven't tapped the threads, then you will find this a lot harder than you can see I am, because these, what I always say is, if you went to B&Q and bought an 8mm nut and bolt, and the thread and the nut had no thread in it, you wouldn't just launch the bolt in, would you? No. So there we go. Okay. And there we are, that's that done. Pretty much all down now, so I can just go around and just tighten them all up because they're not really moving anywhere, they're just tightening down now. And there we are. So that is another wheel built, and if you stayed awake through that, well done. But, if you haven't seen it before, hopefully you learned something from it. Unfortunately, I'm afraid you're going to have to see it again. Another once, maybe 2 times. What I don't want to do is sort of go off camera and do a whole video, you know, miss out a whole build, because, you know, DeAgostini have been good enough to send me this. They're sponsoring the build. If they're going to send me magazines and I'm just going to build it off camera, kind of, what's the point for them, you know? So there we go. There's another wheel. Absolutely gorgeous. Weighs a ton. It's huge, and you can see now we've got that that valve glued in. That's going nowhere. Right. So we've got all that together. Now what it's telling us to do is fit this brake drum that we made in step 34. So that is going to go over the wheel. So the brake drum is going to go over that tab on there, like that. Okay, and this is going to go over the tab on the axle. Right, so what we're going to do now, have I tapped the axle end? No, I haven't. So what I'm going to do now is cut a thread in this axle end. Are these 2.3 as well? They are, aren't they? Do the same on the other end because I may as well while I'm here. For some reason they've used very, very short screws to hold the wheels on. It seems strange that the screws are so small when they've got such a massive job to do. One other little tip I want to give you guys while we're here, before we carry on. This fuel filler elbow is very susceptible to being damaged because you have to keep turning the model over. I would suggest you rest it on something so it doesn't get hit, or just undo these 4 screws and put the fuel tank to one side until it's all like this, and then we can put the fuel tank back in. I've actually put a bigger screw in mine now, but it's still, as you can see, it's still very vulnerable, so we'll have to be very careful. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the wheel, and left hand side we've got the tab there at the bottom. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to put the brake back plate onto the car like that, and then I'm going to fit the wheel over like so. And there you can see we've got our brake drum in behind the wheel. If you want to paint your brake drum a different colour, you can. I can't because I'm not allowed to. But when it's all finished, I probably will. And then we're going to put a screw into the end of the axle there. And I think we can actually tighten it down, because it's actually tightening down onto the axle. There we go. So there you are. If you find that screw keeps coming out because it's so short, if you put some thread lock on it, it will, yeah, you see, it doesn't feel right. It will actually it will actually hold it in. So I mean, that's held in there now. I think I've actually damaged the thread, but we'll see how we go. No, it's damaged the thread. So what I'm going to have to do here now is drill the axle with the correct size drill, which will be, because I've got my taps here, M2.3 is a 2mm drill, so that's handy. So we just drill it, and then we'll find a longer screw in here to go in there. I really don't know why they've used these tiny screws for such a major job. You know, it's so, you think when that goes in there, it's got it's only sort of 3 or 4 threads contact in there. So I think that's a bit of a design issue there. Yeah, I mean, you can see there when that goes down, it's just simply not long enough. I'm wondering if I can use a longer screw without actually doing any drilling. We'll see what I've got on here in a minute. Okay, so we have a solution. Now, when DeAgostini gave me this kit, they asked me not to break away from the build sequence, and I agreed that I wouldn't. Now, these little screws, in my opinion, are far too short to hold those wheels on, especially when you're moving the model around and building everything. You're going to drag this sideways, it's going to rip the wheel off. And you just saw me, even though I tapped a thread, it's still stripped. Okay. Now, when the wheel goes on, the end of the axle is actually sub-flush. So that screw is probably going in on about 2 threads. And into this soft die-cast metal, that is not enough. So what I've done, I am breaking from the build, but I'm not using anything other than these 2 washers. These 2 screws have come from the spare screws that have come with this model. Okay, you know when you need 5 screws, they give you 6. When you need 1, they give you 2, just like in this case. So these are 2.3 by 4 millimeters. I could go back and have a look, but I can't be bothered. But they're DS something. They'll be DS something or other. But they're shiny. I've only got 2 of them in there, so you should have the same. There's no reason why you should have any different than me. So I'm not using anything else. I'm only using what is in there. These 2 washers are small washers from a Tamiya RC kit. Now, because we don't have the large head, you can see that these have the large head on them, and they're designed to hold the wheel in. Okay, they got the washer. We need the washer to stop the wheel falling off. So what I'm doing, I've got this little Tamiya drill, and I've got a 2mm drill in here. If you drill these out 2 millimeters and you don't have a tap, that's fine. The screws will still go in and cut themselves. You can use any old drill, but we're just going to go in the end, and we're just going to open it up. We're just going to make the hole a bit deeper, okay? So I'm going to go in like this. Just push the drill in, and you can see the swarf starting to come out. And I can feel the drill going in. The batteries are nearly dead. And just open that up and making it a bit deeper. Alright, now I'm going to use the tap wrench. You don't have to do this, I do. Because that's just me. But you don't have to do this. If you've got a 2mm drill, those screws will go in absolutely fine. Okay? In fact, if you put any of the 2.3 screws in and they become very, very tight, use a 2mm drill just to open up the holes. I'm going to sweep that off of there. Empty that in the bin. I'm going to take one of these screws. This is obviously the right side I'm doing now, so I'm getting ready for the right side when we do that, which will probably be in the next stages. I'm just checking that I've drilled that deep enough. I think I probably have. We shall see when we come to do it. So we'll come around to the left side, which is the one we're supposed to be working on. So once again, we will fit our, I've already drilled this out, so we'll fit our brake back plate, okay, and then we'll fit our brake drum, and then we can line our tab up on our wheel with the slot in the drum and just slide it over, just like so. There we go. And then I should have got this on here before. What we can do is grab the screw, put a washer on, and then we can place that in that hole in the middle and screw it in. And straight away I can feel that that is going in a lot nicer. Now when I tighten it down, it's tightening the wheel, so I'm going to have to loosen that screw off so that the wheel can turn. Okay, and that's that. So there we go, that is our wheel in place, and then we can just pop the centre cap in and the magnet will hold it in so we can take it off to get to the screws, just like so. Okay, so there we are. Now what you can do, if you're concerned about that wheel coming off, you can use some thread lock. This is Tamiya liquid thread lock. Just put a drop of that on the screw and that will hold it in, which is what I'm going to do, but I'll do that off camera. You just literally, the little, you can get some little tubes of thread lock, sort of a French blue colour. That's the one to use. It won't go really solid then. And then you can just put the screw in so it bottoms out, and then bring it back about 1/8 of a turn, and that'll be enough, and the wheel will spin quite freely. You're not going to be wheeling it around on the floor and making blurbling V8 noises, engine noises, are you? or maybe you will. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. But there we go. So that's my little suggestion if you do find you strip those threads with those tiny little screws. It'd be interesting to see how Moss gets on. But it just seems they should have used longer screws, I think. It just seems a bit silly. But, you know, that's just me. Right, so I'll see you all soon. That's going to be it for this one. And then we'll come back soon and we'll do packs 37 and 38. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye for now.